Good morning, good morning. Hope you're doing good. It may not be morning when you're watching this. It might be evening. I don't know. Good evening, good morning. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how I figure out the angles on this diagonal piece. To build these gates, even with the prints that we offer, you will end up having to make 3 different templates. We're building a 12-foot gate for this entrance that we've been working on. If you've missed the previous videos, there will be links of those videos in the description of this video. There will also be links of digital prints that we have for a couple different styles of entrances that we've built around here, as well as the gates that we're building here. I'm actually working off the prints to build these gates, which is nice because I actually have another project going on in my shop and I can't draw on my nicer concrete. This concrete out here ain't near smooth and it's got cracks in it. And so all that to say is, if you've been following for any time at all, you know that a lot of times I'll use the concrete to draw custom angles with stuff like we're building here. What up, K-Ron? You weren't anywhere to be found before we started the video. Welcome, Karen. Welcome to the video. But I'm excited because now we've got prints. I can work off the prints. But even with the prints showing us what angle this is, we still have to have an angle finder, or the only way that I know how. You got to have an angle finder. We'll link this in the description as well. It'll probably be on another list. Karen, don't be bumping that camera now, that tripod. Karen. Anyway, we will link this in the description as well. It will probably be on a tools list that we have on my favorites page on the arosswelding website. So there will be other tools on that list, but this will be on that list somewhere. It's an angle finder. All that to say is, even when following prints, you'll still need this. Set it to the proper angle and carry on, which we'll go through in this video. So that's actually what I've done thus far. In last week's video, we worked on getting these pieces square with one another and level, and now I'm ready to cope these angles on my longest piece. This piece is cut longer than what we need. The first thing I did was use this center finder here, made me a punch mark, and then went to the other end, made me a punch mark. That way my saddles will be lined up. And then I took my piece of angle, drew me a straight line in line with that punch mark. And then I took this angle finder, put it on 60, just shy of 62 degrees, I believe, was this particular gate angle. And this angle will change depending on how wide your entrance is, obviously, and depending on how many gates your entrance has. Just keep that in mind. And then actually what I did was took this guy and matched the angle like so. I actually laid it on a table that's behind you, and then brought it over here. I'll just use the mark I already have, but I'm just catching you up on what I did thus far to get my angle that I need here. Use this guy, lined my line up on top with this black part of my angle finder, and then took my soapstone. It's another reason I like these flat soapstones here. We carry them in the store, in the arosswelding store, is for stuff like this. So that's lined up. I left about a 1/4 inch past the end here because I'm not sure how much. You can see I've got a light line that's just a guess of what this saddle is going to be, because it's going to be around this at an angle. And really it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for me to come back even further, like a 1/2 inch or so up here. And so I took this flat soapstone, I tried to keep it as straight as possible, and I went like this and all the way down. And then I'll roll this over. Before I roll this, I'll take that center finder and I'll make a mark down here also. That way I can get it back level, and then do the same thing on the other side. And then we'll take a torch, cut it, check my angle with this guy, but I'll have to turn it the other way. Check it by putting it on the side of the piece of pipe and making sure that it's the angle we need. Once we get the angle that we need, I will start coping whatever I need. I'm going to take, again, a piece of short 4.5 or this template and lay it up in there and see what kind of gap I have between the edge of this and the edge of our angle. And then I'll take roughly that much out of down here and out of up here. Yeah, I'm not sure about up here, but anyway, get it fitting good, make sure it's the right angle, and then make a template for that cope. That way I can get an exact measurement from my inside, from my throats to the other end. The reason I'm doing all this precise work is so I can get a precise measurement on this piece, which the print gives us also. All right, so let's go ahead and make this cut. So I went ahead and quartered my pipe. In other words, I used this center finder and found each quarter. That way I could visualize my quarters. That just helps me keep everything straight. And I put this thing on 62 and then checked it with my angle, and it was a little bit off. I needed to lay this back. I just got through doing that and it looks a lot closer. Yeah, I could do it a little bit more. So I may lay this back a little bit more and then go ahead and saddle that bad boy. Now we can set this in here. Actually, let's roll it so we can see it a little better. And I'm just gonna roll this till this gap and the gap right across from it is about even. And then, of course, I don't have a tape on me. What kind of fabricator would have a tape on his hip? About 1 1/8 inches. About 1 1/8 inches. So start with around 1 inch right here. So from the very end, we're going to come down about 1 inch. Do the same thing up here. From the very end, come in about 1 inch. Rough in a. That's just a guess. I don't have any idea. Only one way to find out. Cut it, and then try a piece of pipe in there. Check the angle. That's the most important part, is making sure the angle stays the same as we're coping this. But make sure the angle's the same from right here to right here. But then also making sure this roll fits the pipe we're fitting it to. That's too much. That's too much fuel there. I don't need her that hot. Now, just like any old branch test, we can sand down where it's touching. Now I'm just beveling the inside of the pipe just to make sure I'm not getting a false reading. Trying to keep the outside the same until I check it again. So we need to go more in my throats, which would make sense because I think I just went 1 inch instead of 1 1/8. All right, now that we got her all fitting good, like so, before I pull my measurement, I need to make me a template. I'm gonna make sure and line this one edge of it up, make sure the edge is pretty square on our pipe wrap, and line it up with this punch mark. And then make sure I'm right past the end of my ear there. And then also make sure that this wrap is on here square. In other words, make sure these pieces line up good here and everything's on there pretty snug. Soapstone and start tracing. Start tracing, come on. All right, now that I got this fitting good, I can pull my measurement 148.5 inches from long to short. All right, now that I got this beveled to where it matches real nice, got this piece cut to length, I'm gonna go ahead and re-level these pieces and then fit this piece in where it goes diagonally here. So we'll do essentially what we did in first video of this project, which is make our little circle, getting this all level. All right, so we've got these three pieces roughed in, if you will. Now I'm gonna go through here and these punch marks we made in last week's video also. I'm gonna get them level. Cross measurement to our punch mark, 45 and 7/8. 45 and just under 9/16, so that needs to go down. I'm going to be tacking it off with 332 70/18 here. All right, so we've got all of our spacing laid out for our 3.5 inch pipe. I've got me a 12-foot piece of 2x3 quarter angle here just to use as a straight edge. Now I'm going to go over here to our makeshift pipe rack and cut our first piece of 3.5 to go down here and make a template for all the copes that'll be on every single one of these 3-inch coming into this diagonal piece. I also went ahead and made a template for the 3.5 to 4-inch, just so I wouldn't have to draw each and every single saddle that I make, because all I do is trim off some of the ears so it fits the 4-inch a little better. Down here I've made it a little bit long. Yeah, right here is technically where it needs to be, the longest point, but I just made it a little bit long because I'm going to work on this and get this fitting right and make sure it's rolled right, and then I'll make me a template for this one and then just go off the prints, cutting each and every one of them, tacking them up, and then get this gate all fit up. Hootin', tootin', fartin', fick-noogan, I about forgot to put on my hinges. So from this point, I've done the same thing over and over again using these two templates. Obviously this one is for this cope up here, and this one here is for down here up against our 4.5 inch, 3.5 inch to our 4.5 inch. I did go ahead and make me a mark on this template on the long side, because the most accurate way to get these measurements and lengths is to get it from the long point to the throat of this end of your pipe. So to do that, I like to have a center mark on this side of my long template there. Thank goodness I didn't totally forget about my hinges. All I had to do was cut a couple tacks down here and slide on my hinges. As you can see here, they're both done, they're welded out. I actually had a buddy of mine weld them out with his MIG welder down at my brother-in-law's shop. They kind of share a shop down there, and he has a MIG welder. And since I have another project going on, rather than stick welding them, I just had him weld them out. Not the prettiest looking welds, and that's something that actually bothers me more than I like to admit, but that's part of delegating and part of what you kind of run into whenever you sub stuff out and you're not particular enough about your standards, you know. So all I'm saying is I take the blame for that. But overall, I think they're gonna look great in this entrance in North Dakota. I'm excited that they're done. If you have any questions about what we did here in this video, or about the digital prints, if you decide to buy some from the arosswelding website, you can text me at 405-643-7176. I hope you have an awesome weekend, and remember, learn something every day.